Hello everyone, my name is Matthew and welcome to the Consecration to Mary podcast, where we will prepare and devote ourselves to Mary for 33 days and finally consecrate ourselves to our Blessed Mother, giving her the full control of our lives. This podcast is available both on your podcast streaming platform and on YouTube, so you can be a part of this journey in either ways. Do subscribe to this channel to get every notification during these 33 days. We will be making this consecration using the book 33 Days to Morning Glory by Father Michael E. Gately. If you have this book, very good, but if you don't, I will leave a link in the description of the podcast and of the YouTube video from where you can purchase this book. This podcast is brought to you by thecatholicworld.com. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second day of this podcast, the Consecration to Mary podcast, where we will be devoting the 33 days of our life to our Blessed Mother, preparing ourselves to consecrate ourselves, our life to her, giving her the full opportunity and full freedom to use us the way she wants to. We are using the book 33 Days to Morning Glory for doing this consecration. So if you do not have this book, we have shared the link in the description for you to get one for yourselves. Today is day 2 and let's begin. Day 2. St. Louis's influences on the Church. There is a story from St. Louis de Montfort's life that particularly expresses his passion, which we pondered just yesterday. In the town of Pontchâteau, St. Louis inspired the peasants to build a huge monument to the Passion of Christ on a neighboring hill. For 15 months, hundreds of peasants volunteered their skills and labor to build it. When completed, it stood as a massive structure, a real labor of love. And on the day before it was supposed to be dedicated by the bishop, word got back to Louis that his enemies had convinced the government to destroy it. They had lied to the authorities, saying that the structure was actually meant to be a fortress against the government. When Louis received this disappointing news, he told the thousands of people who had gathered for the blessing ceremony, "We had hoped to build a Calvary here. Let us build it in our hearts. Blessed be God." One thing about doing the Lord's work, it does not always turn out according to our plans. For example, St. Louis surely had planned that his monument to Christ would last more than a day. Yet the saint obediently accepted the destruction of his plans and blessed God. Because of this kind of detachment from his own will and attachment to God's, Louis became an instrument used by God to accomplish even mightier works. So, although his physical monument was destroyed, Louis's teaching eventually became a huge edifice in the church that exercised great influence on many popes and on Catholic spirituality. Indeed, de Montfort's passionate labors paid off in the end, even if he did not see the fruit himself. As we are just beginning our preparation for consecration to Jesus through Mary, let us ponder some of the support various popes have given to St. Louis's teaching. May the testimony of their support strengthen our resolve to journey on the consecration day. And may it help us to trust that our consecration truly will bear great fruit in our lives, even if we do not yet fully understand how. Blessed Pope Pius IX stated that St. Louis's devotion to Mary is the best and most acceptable form. Pope Leo XIII not only beatified de Montfort in 1888, but granted a church indulgence to Catholics to consecrate themselves to Mary using de Montfort's formula. Moreover, this pope was reportedly so influenced by St. Louis's efforts to spread the rosary that he wrote 11 encyclicals on this preeminent Marian devotion. Pope St. Pius X, like Leo XIII, also recommended de Montfort's teaching on Mary to the faithful. In fact, he granted a plenary indulgence in perpetuum, in perpetuity, to anyone who would pray de Montfort's formula for Marian consecration, and he offered his own apostolic blessing to anyone who would simply read true devotion. This Pope so strongly encouraged the faithful to follow de Montfort's path of Marian devotion because he himself had experienced its power. In fact, in his Marian encyclical Ad Diem Illum, the saintly Pope expressed his own dependence on de Montfort in writing it, which becomes obvious when one compares it with true devotion. The Pope's encyclical continually reflects the tone and spirit of de Montfort's classic work as evidenced by sentences like this: There is no surer or easier way than Mary in uniting all men with Christ. Pope Pius XI simply stated, I have practiced this devotion ever since my youth. Pope Venerable Pius XII canonized St. Louis in 1947 and in his homily for the Mass of Canonization referred to de Montfort's Marian teaching as solid and right. Then, when the Pope addressed the pilgrims who had come for the canonization, he said that de Montfort leads us to Mary and from Mary to Jesus, thus summarizing the meaning of Marian consecration. Pope St. John Paul II promoted de Montfort's teaching more than any other pope. We shall learn about his during the fourth week of the retreat. It is enough here to recall two amazing facts. First, that John Paul's papal motto was Totus Tuus, totally yours, which he took directly from de Montfort's shorter prayer of consecration. Second, that John Paul described his reading of true devotion to Mary as a decisive turning point in his life. Today's prayer: Come, Holy Spirit living in Mary, prepare me to give myself fully to living out this true and solid devotion. Thank you so much for listening to our second day of the podcast, and we will be back tomorrow once again. So, if you haven't followed or subscribed to our podcast or YouTube channel, please do so, or else you'll be missing out on the regular notifications. Thank you so much, and God bless.